Okay, it says we're live. No intros, no special nothing today. Because I'm running a little bit late and gay, which is my normal. To give you an idea, I haven't even eaten yet. I literally just walked in the door about 20 minutes ago. The effect of working 12 hours every day. I managed to drink some juice just before I came on stream. Oh, damn it. That usually doesn't happen because I do it beforehand. So give me a second. One of these days, I will be what they call a professional. All right. Welcome to 25 October 2023 live stream. I see Destruction Industries is out there at 0600. So, yeah. About 12 hours ago. Just short of 12 hours ago. Boy, has this week been fun. Fun is not always necessarily a good thing. All right. On Thursday, U.S. District Judge Roger Benitez ruled California's 1989 assault weapons ban unconstitutional, citing last year's Supreme Court ruling against New York, finding that the state's position that firearms should be terminology should change as technology develops unfounded. He had ruled against the law in 2021, but in later appeals, he was ordered to review the case. California Overseer Rob Bonta has already vowed to fight to reverse this decision, poisoning the well by calling it dangerous and misguided, and falsely referring to semi-automatic weapons as weapons of war that have no place on California's streets. Judge Benitez has not, as of this time, stayed enforcement of the Murder Protection Act. That was via the Hill. All right. Folks, this is going to be a semi-scripted stream because there's a whole lot, and I want to make sure I get it all covered completely. Hey, Patriot Wasp, how you doing? I should do that, Wasp, but I'm not going to right this second. Actually, I am. Fuck that. You're right. And no, I don't have my phone on me right this second, but that's okay. I don't need it. I just need a couple extra seconds. All right. In case you haven't maybe taken the hint yet, I'm not really supportive of Rob Bontas or Gavin Newsom's position at all, but I'm not actually as supportive of Benitez's position as you might think. Okay, here we go. Wasp, when are you going to start your own channel, dude? For real. If you need help, Caucasian Sasquatch. I'll even badger him about this. It's here. I know it's here. Oh, there it is. So this is something Wasp sent me. And we are going to watch it together. As soon as I can get past this insulting and disgusting ad for Google on YouTube. The fuck is wrong with you, YouTube? No. Okay. I'm going to back this up to the start. I'm going to take it off. That. Full screen. Oof, maybe not. Present. I will check that out in a second, guys. Give me a second. Oh, no. Make sure I get the right one. There we go. Now I will bring it up to full screen because I want you guys to see this in what it should be, as what it should be, and not.
Here we go.
Down the whole fucking thing.
Lance
Well, as you wished. Yeah, kind of. All right. Gonna close that for the moment. But you know what? I am going to include a link to that in the in a pinned post because you really do want to see that later. I'm also going to include all the other. Ladies and gentlemen, Gavin thinks he has the mandate. He has the rights. He has the natural God given whatever the fuck it is he thinks he has to be the next president of the United States, and he can't even get off a fucking plane. But let's move on. All right. So what's up with this assault weapons ban? Well, first of all, it's from 1989. It bans semi-automatic weapons. Just kind of period. I want to underscore this because I don't think I really badger on it enough. Assault weapons have but one definition that can be sustained, that can be proved out over time, right? Detachable magazine fed, burst and or automatic fire capable. I normally actually change that order completely around. Doesn't matter. Okay, so it has to pass the two-part test. First of all, is it fed by a detachable magazine? All right. That's not like I think it was the RPK. The RPK is fed by a belt. The belt is carried in a canister. All right. But you don't have to have the canister to run the gun. It's not a requirement. And it's sometimes not done at all, depending on the situation. The RPK, therefore, is not detachable magazine fed. There's a German gun during World War II. It started out as an aircraft-mounted weapon, and then the Luftwaffe upgraded the gun to, I think, a 20 millimeter, and they retooled. They redid the gun as an infantry support weapon. All right, and basically all they did was add a stock, and I think maybe a bipod. That too was not detachable magazine fed. All right, the double drum magazine is not needed to run the gun. It just makes it easier. Okay, Wasp is saying I'm thinking of the PKM, and I am not in a position to argue with him. There's somebody out there that could potentially argue with him, but I don't think that guy's gonna do it. All right, moving on. If it is not detachable magazine fed, that means that the magazine has to be used to feed the gun, not that it makes for convenience. All right. If you want to go to that kind of thought process, the M2 machine gun is also an assault weapon because you could keep the belt in the ammo canister. I really, really wish a couple of my Marine followers were in the chat right now. I would love to see how hard they're laughing. No, Wasp, you're fine. If I made a mistake, call me out on it. As it is, I wasn't entirely sure. I just thought it was the RPK, but hey, you know what? I was wrong. Fuck it. It's a PKM. Okay. What's important here is, yes, the AK-47. Yes, Caucasian Sasquatch is here. Yes, the AR-15. Yes, the Glock 22. Right? These are all detachable magazine fed. All right. That part's easy. That doesn't make them assault weapons by itself because none of the weapons I just listed are. Hold on to this thought for a second. Necessarily automatic and or burst fire. M16 is, M16A, whatever is, AK-47. Now, AK-47 is kind of a complicated one because they're all called AK-47s, even though like 90% of the ones out there are semi-automatic only. All right. That is a problem that needs to be dealt with. Now, I know that there's this thing about every company calls their AK clones something else. What's that piece of crap gun? I think Brandon Herrera got his hands on one, and well, the trunnion pins came out in less than 1,000 rounds. I want to say Vesper or Wasper, something like that. All right. That's a problem that needs to be dealt with. That's not my problem to fix. All right. Oh, Visca. Thank you, Wasp. The Visca. Ladies and gentlemen, the Visca was being reviewed, and the trunnion pins came out. How does that even fucking happen? I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't care. I will say that whole debacle, when Desert Tech sent a couple of their guns to InRange and Forgotten Weapons for product review. Hey, Bernie. And that gun failed completely. All right. I watched primarily Carl. I think Ian was mostly there just confirming, yeah, that's what I saw. And then the company came out with another video a couple of weeks later. And having just seen the Visca thing, I'm about to hear this guy who's obviously uncomfortable on camera giving me a bunch of bullshit, and I didn't watch it. I confess, I just didn't fucking want to listen. All right. You're just going to fucking tell me a bunch of bullshit, and I don't want to hear it. Right? Well, that's not what happened. Apparently he was saying, here's the problems. And a couple of weeks later, InRange in particular, really, I think it was on the InRange channel. Carl was saying, you know what? They did fix the problems. We got the gun to try again. And oh my God, it's a wonderful gun now. We love it. And I think he's still got one. Don't go knocking on his door. All right. I And Kerry, I'm telling you, don't go knocking on his door. You can email him. All right. If you're on his Discord, maybe ask him there. Go ahead. Don't go knocking on his door. Because whatever happens next is fuck you territory. But anyway, okay, Wasp, I'll keep that in mind. Well, actually, I don't need to keep that in mind. I've already kind of made up my mind. I mean, if you're going to put out a gun that falls apart in less than 1,000 rounds and then turn around and say, oh, but it's the engineering and the buyer's fault. Well, okay. I'm not going to be rushing to. I might rush to a gun store to get one just for the novelty, but it better be used because I'm not buying a new gun. Moving on. Anyway, all right. The second half of the second part is burst and or automatic fire capable. All right. What that means is you squeeze that trigger, and the gun is supposed to go bang twice. It's literally designed to go bang twice. This does create a little bit of a problem for those of you that love binary triggers. The way I understand it, binary trigger, you squeeze the gun, you squeeze the trigger, it goes bang once, you release it, it goes bang a second time. If you love what I just said, and you love your binaries, you might have a bit of a cognitive dissonance right now. All right. So that's something you need to think about. All right. Okay, guys, I'm gonna add chat now because it has gotten a little away from me. Nope, no, not window. All right. I'm also gonna kind of limit it. Believe it or not, I learned to do this from somebody else. And okay, this is good to know. PSA had some problems with their AK platform, but has since fixed them. I know I've heard of PSA. Oh, Palmetto State. And yes, actually, I have heard about that. Oh. I don't know. I don't like AKs, so I don't touch them. I don't fuck with them. All right. So, hypothetically speaking, if you were to modify an SKS to be automatic, and yes, people have done that. I don't know why. If you were to modify an M1 Garand to be automatic, yes, people have done that. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why the M1. Welcome back, DI. Darkwing Duck, DD. Anyway, I do understand why the guy modified the M1. It's still not an assault weapon because it is a fixed magazine. An AR-15. All right, AR-15 is also one of those funny territory ones because of the naming convention. AR-15 stands for Armalite Rifle number 15, just like AR-10 stands for Armalite Rifle number 10. I believe there's a 17. I know there's a 7. I think that's the 22. There's a few others. All right. Now, if Armalite Industries was to develop their 31st rifle, and it was a lever action single shot, Henry Martini type rifle, that would be the AR-31, right? That isn't making an assault rifle by any stretch of the imagination, right? It's literally a lever action single shot rifle. What do you want me to say? The AR-1, I know, is not even a self-loader, but I don't remember enough about it to say much more. It might be a single shot lever action. That's not actually implausible. Destruction Industries eats the souls of Sasquatches there. Squatch. All right. That is an assault weapon. Automatic and or burst fire capable and detachable magazine fed. What California banned was all semi-automatics. Semi-automatic, detachable, magazine fed. What they did not actually do was ban any assault weapons. None. I actually want to underscore this a little bit. The National Firearms Act effectively banned all assault weapons, but it didn't actually ban. It set a new regulation scheme in place. The Hughes Amendment banned any new assault weapons. Anything after somewhere in March 1989 that couldn't be manufactured anymore. Right? The hurdles to get past the Hughes Amendment are very, very high. There is a certain gentleman who found out trying to cheat those hurdles is not a good idea, and that will be part of next week. Or, well, if we're under 2 hours, I might address it this week. But at any rate, Rob Bonta lied to the court. It actually gets worse. A part of his argument apparently was that the courts had banned certain types of knives, so it makes sense that we ban certain types of rifles. Now, first of all, the knives that were banned were absolutely fucking stupid. Right? I go out of my way to find those types of knives because I still have friends back in California, and every so often I misplace something. It just happens. You know, there's a couple ballad songs that I just can't remember what I did with them. All right, there's a couple of not butterflies. Well, there's a stiletto, but actually I do know where that is because that's not going anywhere soon. There's a couple of switchblades. You know, I can't remember what I did with them. You know what I mean? It's also very, very plausible. It could have happened that a certain individual in a country south of the equator had a need. His wife spends a lot of time at home. She really can't leave the house by herself very well because of medical issues. Not that she did anything wrong. Not that she's a bad person. She's not stupid. She's not stupid. But she has certain medical issues that leaving the house by herself is not necessarily her best idea. And they live in a really fucked up part of town. Fucked up enough that aircraft go literally right over their house on final approach to the airport. Low enough that you can see the people on board the plane. That's a little too close to the airport. I think their property line is mutual to the airport's property line, if that gives you an idea how close they are. Last time I was that close to an airport without being in a terminal was 1995, when I was just outside one of the gates of Reading Airport, just to keep people away from the gate. Security related work. All right. I did not know that. DI. Okay. In any case, it is entirely plausible that I might, maybe, have sent him, specifically him, something that while his wife is home alone in that kind of neighborhood, don't go kicking in their door. Just don't do it. You will not win. No, it wasn't a gun. All right. This is a country south of the equator. And that's all the more I'll say about south of about that. There is no country south of the equator that I'm aware of where that has actual gun rights. I know Brazil and Colombia, I think it is, do have certain right to keep and bear arms in their constitutions, but no, actually no, they don't allow you to have guns, not in real practical terms. So no, it wasn't a gun. I'm not going to set them up that way. Don't go kicking in their doors just the same. You will not win. Well, yeah. All right, moving on. I'm not actually happy with the judge's decision to stay enforcement of his ruling until such time. Oh my God, it's so fucking cold in here. I'm sorry, guys. I do have to turn the heater on. I know it's going to... I know it's loud. I'm sorry. I'm not okay with Benitez's decision to stay in enforcement of his own rule pending the decisions of a higher court. But you know what? Take the wins you can get. All right. He did say, no, you have not demonstrated that this is a good law. It would make sense if there was a justification, right? There's nothing here that justifies it. Now I'm going to say something, and this is going to be all kinds of trouble for me, so fuck you, Apple. The only thing that stops a criminal from getting an otherwise legal AR-15, they're not allowed to have the gun because they are convicted criminal. But for anybody else, it'd be fine, right? Modifying it to automatic is either A, the knowledge of how to do it, which is even I know the coat hanger thing, right? Or B, lack of knowing somebody who knows how to do it. That's not very much. All right. How do I put this diplomatically? No, I don't do anything diplomatically. There's not much you can fucking do about that. All right. If somebody is determined enough to kill a bunch of people, they can still strap a bomb to their chest and run in screaming Allahu Akbar the whole way. Even if, even if they're, a white Christian like me, sort of Christian like me, they could still do that. There's nothing actually stopping them. All right. Criminals are going to be criminals. Doesn't matter what laws you pass. The more laws you pass, the easier it is for them to do the thing they do. All right. California also has this bad habit of writing laws for their state that they can then force the other 49, all right, to accept. One of the ones I'm thinking of, it's a food and drug law that bans certain ingredients from anything that's sold in the state of California if it contains certain ingredients. Well, the real purpose was to force the other 49 states to accept that law by forcing the companies that make these products to change the recipe so that they can still sell in California. And they're not going to change it just for this one state, right? The most they might do is say, well, you know what? We're not sending red hot or hot tamales to California anymore. We're not going to sell them in California because they made it impossible for us to do anything. Oh, by the way, maybe they'll also say, by the way, we're pulling hot tamales, we're pulling Good and Plenty's, we're pulling Mike and Ike's, we're pulling all the other products that we make because California's made it impossible for us to do business there. You know what? I hope they do that. I really do. They're still going to get into the state at that point anyways. But it's definitely a way of saying, you know what? No, we're not playing this game anymore. We're not going to change our recipe because one state wants to, thinks that they write federal law. One governor thinks he's the president of the United States, even though he can't fucking climb down an aircraft debarkation ladder. Hey, Boa. Oh, it's snowing in Boa's part of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Boa is Canadian, so it is going to snow a lot sooner in his area, but it's before Halloween, so that is look, everybody! We have a Luke say, God damn it, dude, I was beginning to worry about you. Welcome back, bro. Okay. All right. Hi, Krabby. You missed my anti no mandate Gavin Newsom rant. This is going to be an unusual position for me to take. I am caught between I truly fucking hate this group. I cannot fucking stand them. And knowing that
I hate the other side even more. Um, I can't force myself to say the name. There is an organization that's fighting the California assault weapons ban. I most certainly will not tell you that you cannot donate to their fight. I will not tell you you should. Right? I'm kind of fuck those. It's one of my fuck those guys outfits. But I have donated to them, and the subject line said CA assault weapons ban fight. So it was $10. All right. Which is $10 that I shouldn't be giving them anyway. But it was $10. That's a good thing. All right. You've been working. Good. But we all missed you, bud. We were starting to worry. And you can tag anybody in the chat except Krabby Turtle. Krabby Turtle is a little too new, may not have noticed, and ask them if it's true. All right. Stopping Gavin at all legal costs has been a thing for me since 2003. So, 20 years and 8 months now that I've been calling him no mandate. And it is absolutely imperative that he be stopped. All right. I don't know what else to say. This law has to be absolutely murdered. Okay. All right. So the next subject, the owner of Florence Gun Shop, Florence, Oregon, has refused to process Mark Iannicelli's background check because Mr. Iannicelli's business card revealed not just that he was an Antifa supporter, but in fact supported, and this is at minimum, swatting and gang stalking. Florence is near Coos Bay, Oregon. It's a little bit north. Ooh, I wish I'd taken a screenshot of the Google Maps. But, oh well. Anyway. All right. There you go. All right. Good for him. Absolutely fucking good for him. I actually just want to send him $10 and say for the Iannicelli fight. All right. First of all, under Daetslov Act, it would have been illegal. It just would have been illegal for him to sell to process that gun. First, I got to back this up a little bit. Mr. Iannicelli bought the gun over the internet, and I'm okay with that. He had it shipped to I assume the gun store closest to him. All right, and that would be been fine as well. The way that this works is, I buy gun from person in, let's say, Alabama. All right, I've done this. I buy a gun from person in Alabama. Person in Alabama ships it to a gun store near me. Okay. I go into a gun store near me. I go through the background check. And if I clear, I walk out with the gun. All right. In some states, there's a waiting period, whatever. The owner of the gun shop, when he got this business card, all right. First of all, you do not need a business card for a background check. That's not a requirement. All right. I do. I have personal business cards. I have professional business cards. I even used to have Coast Guard business cards. Right. You do not need a business card for a background check. So I know exactly what you were fucking pulling, Mr. Iannicelli. You were doing this in order to freak out the gun store owner so that he wouldn't sell you the gun so you could claim oppression points. Well, it didn't work because under Daetslov, it would have actually been illegal to sell him that gun. The moment the gun store owner believed that this guy is actually a member of Antifa, right, and is involved in swatting, and is involved in gang stalking, which is where you get all your little buddies together and you have them go harass the actual target. All right. Excuse me, I look like crap today. By the way, I'm still sober. That's gang stalking. All right. That is enough for in my mind at least, to establish that this guy is actually a violent political protester. I am a Coast Guardsman. I spent 14 years in the Coast Guard. That is never going to change. Now, I didn't go to combat. Okay. Now, it's not like I didn't ask. It's like it just, that didn't happen. I don't get to claim having been a Coastie and then claim I'm not responsible for San Diego. Nope, that wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it. The grace of there, but for the grace of God, go I could have been right there that night doing that thing. All right. I might have made different decisions that night. Yeah, I just said that. All right. I probably would have been in the back texting my girlfriend saying, yeah, we got to stay out late tonight. This is bullshit. This sucks, lol. All right. And yes, that happened, except it was a she, apparently, that sent that particular text, along with some sexually explicit comments. Hey, girl, good for you. Girl, good for you. You're getting more than I am. Either way, and I would have kept in mind Fifth General Order. But yeah, there, but for the grace of God, go I could have been there that night too. You don't get to claim to be Antifa and then claim, but I'm not responsible for the attempted assassination of Andy No. I'm not responsible for the assassination of the Proud Boy up in Portland. I'm not as responsible for the attempted assassination of Brandon Straka down in Houston three times. I believe it was 3 times. 3 individual attacks. Now, it was not the same guy each 3 times. Um, um, you know, it's you don't get to make that claim. All right. Either you're part of that organization or you're not. All right, I got to catch up on the chat, so give me a second, folks. Uh, um, I don't know what ammunition is. Okay. Actually, I was caught up for the most part. Oh well. Cry myself to sleep tomorrow. All right. So, to the owner of Florence Gun Shop, Florence, Oregon, a toast, sir. You earned that. Oh, okay. Now I understand Boa's next comment. Uh, Boa said shopping at the local ammunition fictional chain from well-known video game franchise, not a real place or suggestion. I got it. Thank you, Warsaw, for putting those two together for me. I want to underscore something. Under Daetslov, it would have been illegal for him to process that, even if the driver's license and other form of ID was all presented. The moment he had that business card and it said, "Hi, I'm a member of a terrorist organization," that's the end of this discussion. You're a member of a known and established terrorist organization. I cannot legally sell you this gun. Also, whether or not I report you to local law enforcement is a question I'm not quite sure, because the law doesn't actually cover that. No, it doesn't cover that. It's not going to. I'm not going to do it. Oh shit, Boa. Shit, Boa, I'm sorry. All right, I don't. I have no sense of humor. And according to people who are not wrong, I may have a couple of things going on up here that I can switch between an absolute asshole faggot piece of shit and just the nicest person you'll ever meet. That fast. It's usually the other way around, but I can pull it off. Speaking of which, anybody seen Ghost anywhere but his own channel of late? Oh, Jesus Christ. I gotta find a happy medium with this heater. Okay. Where are we? I really fucking hate that StreamYard moves it around like that. Wasp? How dare you? Ghost is one of the people, Ghost Tactical, by the way, folks. It's one of the people on YouTube I actually still respect. There you go. If that's not saying a lot, then you might qualify for a Part G exemption. All right, moving on to the next subject. America Insider is reporting that 3 Iranian spies were outed by Ted Cruz. One is a former PLO employee who routinely posts anti-Semitic propaganda on social media and was appointed by Special Envoy to Iran, Rob Malley, who reports to Anthony Blinken. Pause. Guys, to give you an idea how this badly set up this was, Anthony and Semitic were misspelled in my show notes. Okay. Blinken more recently claimed that if we push Iran too hard, they'd sick their attack dogs on us, as if they hadn't already. All right. First one. And the second half probably would help if I did this correctly. There we go. It'd be nice if I could like have pre-written messages for the chat. That would be really cool. Okay. Back to reality. Okay. Hamas's attack on Israel 2 weeks ago was beyond illegal. I want to underscore this point a little bit. If you intend to declare war, if country A intends to declare war on country B, even if the cause is justified, all right, the first thing you do is make sure you tell everybody, hey, we're about to declare war on fill in the blank. All right. That was part of what was going on with the mushroom clouds speech. Right? It really was a speech. From 2002, when Condoleezza Rice said, we don't know what's in Iraq, but we can't wait for the nuclear weapon, the evidence of a nuclear weapons to be a mushroom cloud over. I can't remember what city she said. Okay, Wasp, I get it. Not Condi is not everybody's favorite person. That's what we were doing. We were letting the entire fucking world for 6 months know that, yes, this is a problem. It is developing. Right? This is going to be a war if we don't settle this thing real fast. That's exactly what Russia did not do in Ukraine. All right? One night, everybody goes to sleep. Next morning, it's an invasion. That's exactly what Hamas didn't do with Israel. Everybody went to sleep that night. Next morning, there's fucking mass shootings in on civilians. Up to and including Hamas fighters walking around in Israeli Defense Force uniforms. Now, a little bit of a history lesson for those of you who are not old enough to remember, which I'm not either, but I do know about this. During World War II, 6 Germans who spoke fluent English were sent behind American lines in American military police uniforms, specifically traffic control. During World War II, American Army military police were broken up into, I think it was 6 groups based on what they would actually be doing. Some were to hold POWs. Some were to actually enforce rules and laws. You know, cop on the beat shit. And there was one little subset that was traffic control. They had the big MP plastrons, at least on their left shoulder. I think they had them on their right shoulders as well, but don't hold me to that. Right? And it said MP, right? And all they do is they just fucking keep this chaotic mess of vehicles all going in a sane and logical single direction. 6 German operatives got their hands on those uniforms. Now, was it from captured Americans? Probably. Were at least some of them recreated? Yeah, actually, yes. At least one of the plastrons was a perfect fake. Was it everything under the sun? Yes, yes, and yes. None of that actually makes a difference right now. They were eventually caught. Their entire trial consisted of about what we would, in any other circumstance, call a half-hour interrogation. In complete violation of their Fifth Amendment rights. Yeah, Fifth Amendment rights. All right. In any other situation, this would have been an illegal interrogation. They didn't have anything resembling counsel. All right. They weren't advised of their right to remain silent. They weren't anything. Right? They were simply asked, "Are you a German soldier?" Yes or no. And if the evidence that they were a German soldier was good enough, especially if they said no, they were summarily shot. That was their trial. And now we have, just in the one video I saw, at least 6 Hamas fighters in what has been said to be IDF uniforms. Now, I cannot look you all in the eye and say, I do not know the Israeli Defense Force uniform. Well, even close to well enough to identify it on a Ring camera, on a doorbell camera. All right. But I do know an RPG-7, when it's being carried cool guy style on the guy's back, like pointed up in the air like this. Yes. Wasp. Yeah. Actually, that did happen. And fuck, I should just go ahead and do it. So Wasp is pointing out that about 2 weeks, I think it was closer to 3, but 2 weeks-ish earlier, Biden administration had unlocked something like $6 million to Iran for reasons I can't explain. I will never be able to explain that shit. For those of you that are going to say, but they never got the money. Well, first of all, yes, they did. All right. The withdrawal of the money was stopped. Okay, fine. All right. This is like somebody putting a hold on a check. You know, you cut a check to, I cut a check to Krabby Turtle, because Krabby Turtle just commented. Realize that there's a problem. Krabby didn't change her name to TERTLE, which is what the check was for, by the way. Right? So So I called up my bank and said, I want to put a hold on Krabby Turtles. Check. That's the legal equivalent. That money's still sitting there. Any one of you would be a fucking retard to not buy an Iranian government treasure bond, knowing that 6 million, 6 billion, whatever it was. Thank you, by the way, Krabby. Isn't sitting there because it will be unlocked sooner or later. Iran knows they have that money. They're just waiting for it to get unlocked. Every money processor in the world, it would be telling you you'd be a fool not to lend Iran a few $1 million to tide them over. That is literally how the United States government does business. All the fucking time. Every year since Washington himself was sworn in. Alexander Hamilton said that a public debt properly serviced is a public boon. It makes potential lenders more God damn it, what was the next word he used? More confident in lending the subject money and therefore improving the nation's credits. You know what? I know I butchered that quote. I'm okay with that. I got the substance well within the target area. At any rate, you would be a fool, especially if you were a big-time money lender, to not lend Iran a few $1 million to tide them over. Now, is that 6 billion, whatever it was, going to stay frozen forever? No. Is it going to get unfrozen anytime soon? No. God, no. I also may owe everybody an apology on a related subject, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Either way, Anthony Blinken's objection to pushing Iran too hard is based on the idea that it will provoke Iran to action. Who the fuck do you think you're fooling, dude? They already are acting. What more does it take? Will it literally take a suicide bomber at the White House for this guy to finally fucking get a clue? I mean, Secretary Blinken, I'm offering you an invitation to come on in and answer the question. Is it going to take a suicide bomber for you to fucking get a clue? You tell me. Now, I know part of this is Blinken's ego. Oh, and is it a big one? Anthony Blinken was one of the big backers of the original Iranian nuke deal. Well, in 2014, I said, this isn't a nuclear disarmament deal. This is just us giving them money to develop a nuclear weapon with. And furthermore, I think, I truly and honestly believe that Barack Obama gave Iran at least the majority of the information they needed to develop a nuclear bomb. I believe Iran has a nuclear weapon, and they're just waiting for an excuse to use it, or a pretext, a cover story to use it under. Whoa, whoa, Krabby. Luke, you already have a wrench. No. Crappy, I'm giving you a temporary moderator. Motherfucker. Shit. They want me to do this shit. Krabby, drop that link into the chat for me, please. This is the ladies and gentlemen. This is the first I heard about this. Like right now, when you saw me reaching over to do that. All right. I'm going to go with the Twitter feed, folks. Water. I'm just going to read this. I'm not going to put it up. Breaking reportedly 16 dead, 50 to 60 injured in mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not sure what Maine's gun laws look like. Okay, well, that was all they did. Looks like a white guy, maybe a couple of years older than me. That looks like an AR-15 with some sort of scope. He has a beard, and that looks like some bowling alley iconography behind him. It was bowling pins. Oh, God damn it. I meant to do that. Okay. Let's see what's on the Fox side. Active shooter situation in Maine. Hospital says mass casualties, mass shooter event. Okay. Police in Lewiston, Maine are responding to reports of an active shooter. Published at 2031 Eastern Time, which would have been roughly 3 hours ago. No, roughly an hour ago. Okay, it's the same picture. Fox News has confirmed the active shooter incident occurred at 3 locations. At 3 locations. That the shooting occurred at 3 locations. I'm not even going to try to say that name. Sierra Charlie. Mother. Fuck you. God damn it. Stop. Shut up. What the flying fuck? Give me a second, folks. I'm going to fucking shut that shit off. Motherfuckers. I said off. Sierra Charlie Hotel Echo Mike Echo November Golf Echo Echo Sierra. So maybe Schmeg
Schmecknies, bar and grill restaurant, a Walmart store, and a spare time. Guessing that this photo is from Spare Time Recreation. Spare. It's a play on words. I'm going to drop the name of the bar and grill. Oh, I go already. Yes. Okay. Maine State Police said in a Facebook post that there's an active shooting situation in Lewiston, a city of 35 miles north of Portland, Maine. The hospital said they are reacting to mass casualty events. As of 2100, I assume local time, but I don't fucking know for sure. The hospital said they cannot share the specifics. Androscoggins County Sheriff's Office released 2 photos of the suspect involved in the active shooting in Maine. Guys, I'm going to stop the chat here for a second. Open image. I'm going to stop the chat here for a second. Stop screen. Oh, okay. So that appears to be him. I'm going to switch to cinema layout. Behind him is what appears to be bowling pins and a bowling ball. Appears that the door says thanks, probably thanks for coming. One of those free local circular newspapers, a fire extinguisher for what that's worth. Some lockers. I mean, yeah, that looks like an AR-15. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Close enough. What appears to be a scope. Okay. Nothing else I can do there. Yeah, if you know more about Maine gun laws, please feel free to correct me on anything that I may have gotten wrong. What the hell? Give me a second, guys. All of a sudden, it's decided it wants to do whatever the fuck it feels like doing. There we go. Let's get that back. Okay. Save. Yes, and leave it that way this time. Oh, I should probably find out if that's correct. Of course, I'm using Krabby's link, so it probably will say exactly that. Authorities have said to shelter in place and stay inside your homes with doors locked. Okay. Oh, excuse me.
That's all we're going to get here. I mean, is he wrong? Is Luke wrong? You tell me. Here's a reality of the universe. Of the people in these 3 locations, maybe 2 of them were carrying. Maybe as many as 1 of them was in a position to respond to the shooting. It was probably the first person he targeted. For those of you that remember the Buffalo supermarket shooting, first person he targeted was security. For those of you that remember the Club Q shooting, the first person he targeted was security. Things like this shooting that we're talking about now, that just happened, is the reason why I have actually been somewhat ambivalent with the inebriation exemption. You're drunk, you can stop and pause a second. You're still an adult. You might be a drunk adult. You can still stop and pause a second, right? Ghost Tech tells a story. 4 guys walk into a bar. They start fucking with his girlfriend. All right. Who is now his wife, by the way. Ghost stood up and said, does anybody in here understand the meaning of the word semper fidelis? Right. I'm a Coastie. All right. At that point in time, I wasn't even in the Guard yet. He got out of the Marines right about the time I went into the Coast Guard. He stood up and said, does anybody in here understand the meaning of the word semper fidelis? Half the fucking bar stood up. All right. Now, was Ghost a little bit drunk that night? Probably. And he was still able to think enough to understand. All I had to do was stand up and say 2 words. And anybody in here who understands those 2 words will have my back. And these guys are going to leave. And guess what, by the way? One of these 4 dumb motherfuckers was just barely sober and smart enough to understand they just walked into a big, big mistake. And if I understand correctly, kind of strongly encouraged his buddy who was causing the problem to walk out with them right then and there. I was a Coastie. I was hear some guy stand up at the bar say, does anybody here understand the word semper fidelis? Grab the guy closest to him and drag him outside. Right? I was not a Marine. I do understand what those words mean. It means somebody's about to die. I consider my assault and battery to be an act of saving your life because you're about to die. Hi, Swiss. Hey, Swiss, I need your new email address. Okay? Because you're not getting back to me. We're not going to talk about it right now. You're going to tell me later. Oh, speaking of which. Yeah, remove that that reply, Swiss, because I already know your reply. There we go.
Okay. Krabby Turtle says some comments feel he was trained from the body count. The simple fact of the matter is when you get a large number of people into a small space, especially a small space with limited exits, yeah, um that makes it all too easy. It's shooting fish in a fucking barrel. How hard is it? All right. There was a experiment done. Thank you, Swiss, by the way. There was an experiment done back in the 1990s at a university with an NBC reporter. Okay. Do guns make classrooms safe? They use paintballs and masks and big, heavy fucking gloves. Right? Classroom was filled with students. About 40, between 30 and 40 students. Right? In each of the 3 drills, one student had a gun and they were supposed to not tell anybody. Right? One was very pro-gun, one was very anti-gun, and one, if I recall correctly, was ambivalent. None of the 3 of them were able to engage the shooter, who, by the way, was a police officer using paintballs. So relax. Effectively. Well, no shit, they weren't fucking able to engage him. They had those big fucking heavy fucking gloves on that they couldn't even, the one couldn't even draw. Yeah, no shit, he couldn't get the gun out. It was a rigged experiment. Yes, I actually just accused NBC, the same people who brought you, by the way, exploding gas tanks, of rigging a gun, school shooter experiment. Gee, I wonder if I've ever heard that one before. Oh. I don't find that funny at all. Do I look like I'm laughing? Is this a laughing face to you? Do you see tears coming out of my eyes? Do you see my head cocked like this? Not laughing. All right, moving on. Oh, by the way, in a real world mass shooting scenario where one of the would-be victims was armed, the victim, by merely presenting the weapon, was able to change the outcome. That was the Westfield Shopping Town shooting of 2018 in Clackamas, Oregon. I'm just saying. The fact that a fucking libertarian. God damn it. Fucking libertarian proved it out mathematically, not necessarily physically, right? The math doesn't always follow the real world. I understand this, but he did prove it out mathematically. It's just, it's one of those things. Average number of victims in a mass shooting where nobody's armed, 18 and change. Well, let's just say 18. The number of victims in a mass shooting when at least one of the would-be victims is armed, 3. And that's being a little bit generous on the numbers. Okay. Put a bunch of people together,
especially in the context of the bowling alley. If it's a bowling alley, there's alcohol present. There's no such thing as a bowling alley that doesn't serve beer. It doesn't exist. All right. Even in the Roaring '20s, when prohibition was in effect, if it was a bowling alley, there was beer. And shit like this incident today makes me wonder if I made a bad fucking call in establishing the inebriation exemption. Ghost was able to handle himself while he was drunk without killing the guy, without shooting him in the face, without beating him to death. How hard could it really be? I'm just saying. Yes, Swiss, there was a mass shooting today. There's excuse me. This actually started right about the time the stream started. Oh, excuse me. At least 30 dead. And it occurred at 3 locations, one of which was a bar and grill. Another one was a Walmart. And the third one was a bowling alley. I'm going to withhold too much comment about the bar and grill because I've never been there. I've never heard of this place before. But all of the bar and grills that I've ever dealt with, your access is pretty limited, right? O'Malley's. Well, Mina's was actually pretty good. Okay. Streets of London did have a back exit from the patio. And it's not like you had to hop the fence. That you could hop the fence. They actually had a gate that was very easy to open. Let's see. Benny Ann's. Oh, yeah. Benny Ann's didn't even have a back exit that I'm aware of. They had an employee exit, but not a customer exit. O'Malley's had back exits, but you had to go through employee areas. They were fire exits, fire and earthquake exits. Well, Lamina's may have had back exits that I'm not aware of because I never went that deep in. Oh, place that went belly up during pandemic. They had back exits. They had very clear back exits. So, all the places I've ever dealt with, Maine, Swiss Miss. Thank you, Krabby. I'm not going to follow up on that link myself. I have to trust you to be telling me the truth. So I'm going to trust you to be telling me the truth. Also, that link seems to fit. No, it doesn't. That's Baltimore. That's Maryland. It's Maryland. That's Maryland. It's a whole nother state. This is a little bit different. Wait a minute, this is sounding familiar. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Krabby, this is an old story. This is an old story. This is one oh my God, months ago. Covered that story months ago. But yes, I am aware of the Baltimore. But a lot of people in a confined space, and what do you expect? I mean, my older brother got pushed up against the rails at a bar. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, it was 20 years ago. Almost to the month. I think it would have been August or September. We were at a bar in Sacramento. He got pushed up against the rails because a bunch of drunk bitches, that was his words, couldn't handle themselves, so he crawled over the rail just to get out of there. And then he got escorted out, and they didn't. Krabby, I'm not seeing the comment before that either. Well, let me go back and see. Unless you mean that one. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's only so much I can do here. Okay, I'm going to turn the heater off. All right, I'm going to get back on track here. Yeah, Krabby, they're hiding your comment from me too. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you. All right. I'm going to move on to the next subject, guys. Democratic-controlled Massachusetts House of Representatives passed House Bill 4135, which prohibits firearms in public spaces such as schools, polling places, and government buildings, cracks down on ghost guns, and tightens the state's ban on so-called assault weapons. All of this would be illegal under Daetslov. This state law would have been illegal under Daetslov. Your state concealed carry permit would be recognized in all 50 states. It says only one legal standard for assault weapons and machine guns, which are not the same thing. And in fact, the only thing that this might do under Daetslov Act doesn't carry is the issue of home-built guns, a subject I've been avoiding for the time being. So in short, Daetslov would have made this moot. Now, the issue of home-built weapons, I haven't touched that. Not under Daetslov. There's no elegant way to address that question, and I'm not going to at the moment. Yeah, it's a quandary that I cannot easily close without including background checks and a million other things. And to be perfectly blunt, Defense Distributed has already demonstrated that's not really a good plan anyway. It's not going to work out. The Jalisco cartel built a gun factory starting from 0% low receivers, and I am told from knowledgeable sources that they were making every part of the gun at that factory, except for some of the threaded pieces, forward sight, the rear sight, or parts of the rear sight, a couple other pieces. In a building, in a tienda, a small shop of about 200 square feet. To give you an idea how big that is, the service bay at a gas station for an individual vehicle is slightly larger than 100 square feet. Okay, I'm going to go over that last rant. While I address a very important question that Swiss Miss has asked, you require a state license under Daetslov? No. Your state might require a concealed carry permit, right? That is a state by state decision. Some states may say, you know what, we're not doing it. And Wyoming. I'm going to pick on Wyoming for a second. No. I'm going to pick on Kansas for a second. Because the geographic center of the United States happens to be in Kansas. So, Kansas says, we are not going to create a concealed carry permit system for our state. You can conceal carry without a permit. We don't issue the permits. Don't bother asking. Well, okay. Kansas could make that decision. I'm telling you, it's a bad decision to make. All right. Because a Kansan goes into Tennessee, goes into Louisiana, goes into New York, New Jersey, Colorado. Colorado, I think, is just across the border. All right. Even an innocent hop to a gas station across the street that just happens that street is the state line, right? They cross that border and all of a sudden they've committed a crime because they're carrying concealed without a permit in a state that requires a concealed carry permit. I don't recommend states refuse to have a concealed carry permit system. That would be a very, very bad decision to make. Because your state residents, Kansans in this case, would could get into serious trouble crossing state lines. Now, under Daetslov, open carry is perfectly legal. Doesn't matter what state you're in. If you are open carrying, you're good to go. All right. California, in particular, when I was growing up, you could open carry unloaded in California. But you could only conceal carry with a permit. All right. And then they changed state law that says, no, you can't open carry. Well, now, under Daetslov, you could open carry legally with a round in the chamber. That's the part I didn't tell you yet. You could not carry with a round in the chamber in California, concealed or open. And I know that law was changed sometime after I moved out of state because I walked past the state capitol once with an airsoft, not an actual gun, an airsoft on my hip, just to see what would happen. You know, to that poor chippy, ma'am, I'm sorry, you're right. I was trolling you in real life. I was seeing what you would do. This was a Saturday or Sunday. She came out, she confronted me. It was an airsoft, everything's fine. I was told to go away. That was her actual words. Go away and don't come back. It's okay. And that was the end of it. Somewhere after I left, they changed the state law. Open carry is now illegal. Under Daetslov, it will stay legal. All 50 states. And all 8 territories. Because fuck you, that's why. Okay, Swiss. All right. Did I miss anything important? We're coming up close on time here, although not that close. I always have 2 hours a month to spare, so you know what? I'm going to go into it. Na 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 na. I'm going to start a fight. All right. On another subject, I saw a claim on the nature of fake news. A reporter speaking in a language other than English is reporting from what was either Israel or Gaza. I don't know which it is. That's the truth. I don't know which it is. I'm going to say I think she's reporting from Israel. I may be wrong. In this video that I saw, first of all, it was from somebody who's openly acknowledged. Everybody knows he lies. He's even admitted, oh, yeah, about that, I told a lie. Not about this subject specifically, about something related to money, which is an even bigger problem. All right. Over this reporter who's not speaking English is what sounds like a director giving instructions. And amongst the other things he says is, I don't speak Romanian. What is she saying? Something to that effect. And he's giving technical people who are in the background instructions. You can hear there's an air raid siren in the background. Even through this jack off, even through the director basically talking right over her, because it's it's the backstage stuff. You can still hear that there's what sounds like an air raid siren. And you can see in the background there's two men walking around, apparently rather calmly. One of them sits down on what appears to be a park bench. A couple, about 100 feet beyond her. Meanwhile, she's crouching down behind a car. Like it's the end of the world and we're all going to die. All right. I have a bunch of problems with this interpretation of events. The director is speaking in English and saying he doesn't speak Romanian. Why is he therefore directing this video? Why is he the director here? What is he fucking doing here if he doesn't even speak the language that he's supposed to be listening to? She could be calling him a fucking faggot with two dicks up his ass and one down his throat. He wouldn't know the difference. So, what's he fucking doing here? But okay. He's telling one of the technical people to move an avatar from one side of the screen to the other to cover up these people walking in the background. Well, we've already seen them. What difference does it make? You can move avatars all around all you want. It's not going to change anything. It's too late to hide those. But it would be possible, if it wasn't a live feed, to put something there the whole time. Last but not least, why are we seeing any of this? All of that backstage stuff, it doesn't get recorded. All right? For this exact reason. The only way that gets out is if it's entirely intentional from the beginning. What does that suggest here? Oh, did somebody found this report by this video by this reporter? Whether it was live or something else, and altered it to make it look like something it wasn't. Hey, yo, folks, guess what? I can do a voiceover for a video too. I don't do it. All right. Because it's a pain in the ass to run something through StreamYard and then do the voiceover to it. All right. That's a little bit of a pain in the ass for me. But I could still do it. It's not even that fucking hard. I want to remind everybody, never fucking lie to me. I will find it out sooner or later. Don't do that. All right? I don't care how many fucking followers you got, dude. You lie to me once and you're done forever. And that guy is fucking done for me forever. If you recommend a channel or a video to me and I say, don't bring this guy back to me ever again, don't bring this guy back to me ever again. I've caught this guy lying in the past. I'm going to catch him lying in the future. I hope that message got through to a few of you out there. I really do. Okay. Did I miss something? I did. Boa. Message me on Discord, bro. We need to talk about that. All right. Moving on. We're going to change up the Daetslov Act reading today because I fucked up. I screenshotted the wrong section. Oh, God. Oh, there we go. Stop screen. And present. Share screen. Window. Actually, this might be the right one. I just don't think it is. Oh, absolutely great timing, isn't it? Section 7, limitation and provisions of liability. Any person acting in accordance with the provisions of this act and in good faith may not be held criminally liable for reasonable and prudent acts thereof in the use of any weapon in self-defense or defense of others, nor may be held liable for unintended, unforeseeable, or unavoidable consequences of another party's actions. Party's action in singular. Excuse me. Oh, sorry guys. I gotta fix. Nope, that's not good enough. Well, good. It's gonna have to be good enough this time. All right. So, acting in accordance with the provisions of this act, you're required to keep and bear arms, and in good faith, which is nebulous, may not be held criminally liable for reasonable and prudent acts thereof. All right, generally speaking, if it was not considered murder,
if it was considered self-defense under your state's laws beforehand, you're probably okay. And the use of any weapon in self-defense or defense of others. Any means any, right? You brought a gun to a fight involving a tree branch. Well, Shadiversity said it very simply: stick good. All right, stick is good. May not, nor may be held for the unintended, unforeseeable, or unavoidable consequences. This goes back to something I talked about earlier today. The Clackamas, the Westfield Shopping Center shooting in Clackamas, Oregon. Nick Melly was hanging out in the food court, talking to some woman and her child. I've gotten various conflicting reports that this was his girlfriend. I don't know. I don't care. All right. This could have been his sister. It could have been his mother, for all fucks I give. Doesn't matter. He was sitting there talking to her when the shooter came in, I think through the Macy's. And I remember the local sheriff saying this is exactly the scenario we had thought was going to happen. And we were shocked at how exactly like that scenario it was. He took out his Glock 2, Nick Melly, took out his Glock 22 and confronted the shooter. But he did not pull a trigger because he was afraid, he was afraid he would shoot an innocent bystander. There were people moving around behind the shooter. He would have been absolutely protected under Daetslov. Unintended, unforeseeable, or unavoidable consequences. This was the shooter's actions which was compelling Nick to act. That's it. Now, Nick chose not to pull the trigger. Okay. All right, fine. I'm okay with that. Because the shooter apparently saw him, ran to the nearest slaughter well, and then he ended the situation permanently. And just take it for what it is. Nick's actions, if he had pulled the trigger, first of all, it would have been, and he shot somebody, an innocent bystander. It would have been unintended. That was not his intention. His intention was to end the threat. Okay. Unforeseeable. How the fuck can you predict when people are going to run out in front of a guy with a gun? When they know the guy with the gun is still out there and trying to kill people. That's not foreseeable under even the most generous of definitions. Most people with half a brain are going to turn around and run the exact opposite direction, away from the shooter. Or unavoidable. Nick pulls the trigger, the bullet starts moving, right? And it does hit somebody else. Or it goes right through the shooter and into somebody else. That's completely unavoidable. That wouldn't have been on him. As it turns out, like I said, that particular day, Nick decided not to pull the trigger. Okay. I'm okay with that. For those of you that try and say he wasn't there that day, there's a security video of him being escorted out by Clackamas County sheriffs. And they're looking for the shooter. So apparently he did something else correct. All right. No person acting otherwise in accordance with the provisions of this law and the state within which they are located at any given time, or at a given time, excuse me. So that's important, right? I'm a Nevada resident.
Less than 100 feet away from me is California. Less than 10 miles away from me is Oregon. That's easy for me to get across those two state borders. Idaho is just a few hours away. All right. As a matter of fact, I go into Idaho about twice a year. Right. I have to be acting in accordance with the state I'm actually in at the time. It's an important detail. May be held civilly liable for action taken under this act, except when said person acted under circumstances wherein they are successfully criminally prosecuted. All right, so I just listed 4 states: Oregon, California, Nevada, and Idaho. All right. Each of the 4 have different self-defense standards. That's kind of a problem by itself. Something that might be perfectly fine in Idaho is completely illegal in California. Well, okay, I might have to deal with that problem. But if I cannot be prosecuted under, let's say, California law, and I am in California at the time that I acted in defense of myself or another, you can't fucking sue me. You can take that lawsuit and shove it so far up your ass that it rubs the back side of your eyeballs. Did you know that in Britain you do not have a right to self-defense? Yeah, that's actually where this came from. The fact that Britons do not have a legal right to self-defense is why I came up with that. Now you will have a right to self-defense, and you cannot be sued for defending yourself as an end run to the criminal prosecution. Oh, well, the court said you're not guilty, so we're going to sue you until you're so broke that you can't even cry because it's too expensive. All right. Manufacturers and any product listed under or applicable to this act may not be civilly liable in any matter related to this product to the exclusion of defective products, defects in material and or workmanship, and foreseeable design defects. You can't sue a gun company out of existence because their gun was used in a mass shooting. It's not going to work anymore. You can sue the estate, possibly, the actual person, if they survive, of the shooter. You cannot sue the company that made the gun. You cannot sue the retailer that made the gun. Right? It's not going to work anymore. You cannot sue people into you can't change the law by simply suing people because you don't like what they do. No private person or concern may in any way interfere with, nor record, nor track the lawful business of another private party except as provided for under this act, under the direct order of a competent jurist. In the course of a criminal prosecution, any company that violates the clause may be fined not less than, yes, that says $10 million per transactional violation. You can get a whole lot of transactional violations in just one sale. Somebody buys 10 boxes of ammo. That's 10 transactional violations. Just think about it like that. Any private person who does so or authorizes another body to do so shall be found guilty of a felony, punishable by 20 years plus an additional 6 months per transactional violation completed. 10 boxes of ammo. That is 3 years on top of the 20. Pause. Going to go back a little bit. Remember the case out of Oregon? Florence gun store? He refused to conduct the transaction. Is he going to go to prison under Daetslov? No. He has something here that he's saying, this guy is actually a bad actor. This guy is a member of Antifa. If I sell him this gun, a violent political protester who by law cannot keep or bear any arms ever again in his life unless he's ready to go to court and prove his innocence, then no. I'm not going to sell this guy this gun. You can go to a different gun shop and do it there. And if they're willing to break the law that way, great, good for them. I'm not going to do it. So there is a little bit of a difference there. No person acting in good faith under this act may be held criminally nor civilly liable for the act of another. Any weapon stolen from a person, their home, or vehicle, having been reported as such to law enforcement in a timely manner after discovery and subsequently recovered under whatever circumstances said discovery was made, shall have said weapons returned promptly and shall not face any other ramifications thereof. Give me a second. I got to take a shot. I got to take a drink. Okay. Back around 1995 or 6, I think. Mama Carey was the victim of probably the first carjacking in Shasta County. The whole totality of circumstances, it sounds more like this was a high schooler or very, very young adult, say 20s. And Shasta County had a meth problem through the late 80s into the 90s. It's continued on to today, from what I understand. This strikes me, the totality of circumstances, it strikes me that this was somebody who watched a little bit too much TV, heard of carjackings from LA, and thought, hey, I can do the same thing. Well, no, actually you can't. You're fucking retarded. You're a meth head, and you can't think. My understanding is he got into mom's car with her and made her drive a couple of blocks, thinking he was going to steal her car or something. He ended up stealing her purse instead, and in it was one of her and dad. Right? The gun was it was registered in dad's name, but it was really both of their guys. 38 revolver. Somewhere out there in the universe is 38 revolver that, as far as I know, is still registered to Papa Carey's name. Mom called 911 apparently right away, right? I found out about this because mom was supposed to be home from work like 1700 or whatever. Here it is, 1800, still not home, and I'm not hearing from her. 1830, still not home. What the hell is going on? I called the non-emergency number, I think, for the sheriff's office. No, it must have been for the highway patrol. Anyway, whoever fucking number I called and said, hey, is there something going on? I'm looking for my mom. She's like an hour and a half late. This isn't like her. Her name is Mama Carrie. Nice try, guys. And the lady on the phone said, "Oh, sir, I can't tell you anything. I can only tell you that there's been an incident." Oh, that's right. She wasn't answering her cell phone. That's the reason I really called them. I can only tell you that there's been an incident, and we will let you know as soon as we can. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm still a teenager at this time. I'm not sure what to do. Right? It was before 94 because I was still in high school. I just remembered that part. I might have been 18, but I was still in high school. The gun has been reported stolen. It's been reported stolen quite a long time. If that gun ever turns up again, first of all, they have to return it to Papa Carey. That gun was stolen, period, end of discussion. Also, they have to prosecute anybody that they can prove had that gun since the time it was stolen. They don't have to, but it's implied. And anything that happened during that time frame cannot be held against Mama Carey, cannot be held against Papa Carey. Right? The gun was stolen. Now, if I steal your car and go rob a bank, do you go to prison with me because I stole your car? Especially after you reported it stolen. I did not know this at the time, but I rode around in a stolen vehicle for about 2 weeks. And one of my neighbors I knew he was sketchy. I just didn't think he was driving a stolen fucking car. Am I guilty of stealing the car? No. Is the owner of the vehicle guilty of whatever that dumb motherfucker did in those 2 weeks? I don't even have to answer that question. I don't have to answer it. You know the answer. I'm not going to waste your time. Yes, Swiss. That was rather crude. Thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to put the chat back up. I'm going to adjust it to stream 2. And it is hard to read. I'm aware of this. I'm sorry, folks. And then I'm going to show this comment from Swiss Miss. Please never lie to Carrie for 2 reasons. 1, he doesn't like lies. 2, it triggers Carrie and he screams, which hurts my ears. So for God's sakes, for Swiss Miss's sake, please don't lie to me. If nothing else, don't take it out on her. And I don't know why it's not showing properly. I'm going to look. Yeah, I mean, it's showing properly on StreamYard, on the YouTube side, but it's not showing properly on the StreamYard side. And I don't know why that is. That is awesome news, Luke. Thank you. Even if he's not caught yet, at least we know who he is. We might know who he is. By the way, Swiss Miss, what exactly was rather crude? Because everything I do is kind of crude and vulgar and rude and disgusting. All right, you should see me when I really...
You should have seen my interview with Karn if you want vulgar and crude. But moving right along. All right. We're about 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is a little unusual for me. Oh, because we got sidetracked with the mass shooting in Maine. So, did I miss anything important? Sorry, guys. There is something. Problem is, I'm not sure if I have time to dig it up. There it is. Okay. I do have time to dig it up. All right. Before I do that, Luke is telling us that possible suspect in custody in Maine, but it's not confirmed. So contain your enthusiasm. Let's see what actually happens. All right, stop the screen. I want to show you guys something. And I'm sorry, I don't have the clip available. Really, motherfuckers? Okay. All right. Good night, Luke. Please don't be such a stranger. It worries me when you disappear like that, okay? Worries me when anybody disappears like that. Right. Every Generation X kid watching the news right now. If you do not know what that is, first of all, beat yourself for being stupid. Second of all, I remember when this came out in the theaters. I did not see it in theaters. I saw it on HBO the next year. Besides the fact that that's me low center, I may have some personality issues that I should deal with, but I'm not going to. Is the fact that this is forgetting something very important. As the film opens, there's a crawl. It reads, Soviet Union suffers worst wheat harvest in 55 years. Labor and food riots in Poland. Soviet troops invade. Cuba and Nicaragua reach troop strengths of 500,000. El Salvador and Honduras fall. Greens Party gains control of West German parliament. Demands withdrawal of nuclear weapons from European soil. Mexico plunges into revolution. NATO dissolves. United States stands alone. Right. It won't let me switch between screen shares. What's happening now is people demanding not externally, but internally that we follow this exact path. Right? One by one, our allies are being allies, friends, enemy of our enemies,
are being invaded, massacred, and falling left and right. And rather than stand by them, there are people that demand we let them fall. Abyssinia, for those of you that maybe have a little bit of a historical bent, you can kind of take a nap right now. In the 1930s, damn, I should have looked this up before I said something, before I started the stream. But the 1930s, I believe it was, Abyssinia was this tiny little country in Africa. Italy invaded Abyssinia. The king of Abyssinia, highly Siamic, fuck, I cannot pronounce his name correctly, turned to the League of Nations and asked for help. And the entire League of Nations, all of the member states said, it's too far away and too much somebody else's problem. For those of you that have heard me say, Ukraine 2022 is Poland 1938. Yeah. And Assyria and the other countries, those are Abyssinia 1935, I think it was. Right down to the use of chemical weapons, by the way, on civilians. All right. We let it happen. It built. Test the system. What are they going to let us get away with before they finally say no? In Syria, we let them get away with chemical weapons because we weren't willing to say for sure and certain who did it. All right. Yes, it was Bashad, except it was all of them. All of them were using chemical weapons. It's just who they were pointing them at that varied by who was using them. Now, here we are, actual invasion of Ukraine, massacre of civilians in Israel. What's it going to take for you to finally realize, holy shit, this is really happening? I started screaming Wolverines 4 years ago. What's it gonna fucking take? Yes, I'm a dangerous, psychotic killing machine. No, I don't need medical intervention. I need more ammo. All right. You know it. I know it. Excuse me. I've known it for 20 years now. You say I need serious psychiatric help. I say all I need is more ammo. And now we're seeing, oh wow, Carrie's probably right about that. Yes, he's a very, very disturbed psychotic with a long history of violence and psychotic behavior. But holy shit, he was actually right the whole time. Speaking of people who were right the whole time, I hate to say this, Alex Jones may not have been as wrong as we thought he was. Right? I remember Alex Jones from high school. He went to Anderson Union High School. He was a year ahead of me. I went to Shasta High School. Right? I was class of 94, so draw your own conclusions from there. I met him at a couple of mutual friends' parties, and he was the weirdo UFO kid. Oh yeah, he believes in UFOs and shit. Don't talk to him. Yeah. Some of the things he's said since then actually turned out to be more or less, and in some cases more than less true, go fuck yourself, Apple. You know I'm right. Yes, he's a weirdo. Yes, he was a weirdo aliens kid. All right? That didn't make him wrong. That's just making him fucking crazy. I want you to think about that as you grok on the rants that I've gone through tonight. And in the meantime, seeing as how I'm a little over time and some of you need to hit the rack, keep calm and mandatory carry on. Good night, everybody. Hello, nurse.